So, welcome to the Scruffy Dog Podcast with Buddy and Cindy. And Radar's helping out. And I actually have Dexter, the other dog, and Luna here too. Now, um, guess what we're talking about today? Food for dogs. Now, we're not going to talk about the specifics of um, the different foods right yet. What we're going to talk about today, a couple things. First, Buddy needs a little more watermelon. He got very excited about his snacks. He loves snacks. Wherever there's snacks involved, Buddy is excited. Thank you, Radar. So, what we want to talk about food today is kind of an overall thing. Um, I have found as I have changed up our dog's way of eating and learned more, and I foster and volunteer at the shelter. And I find when you talk to people about how they feed their dogs, it's kind of an emotional thing. Like, they people get funny about it because, everybody loves their dogs and everybody wants to do the best they can for their dogs and everybody, thinks they're doing the right thing. That's where it gets interesting. Now, years ago, it's embarrassing now to go back in my mind. E.T. We had a dog that was a Chihuahua pug, and he had like kind of really a funny mouth and everything. And I knew nothing about dog food other than it's what dogs ate. That's all I knew. Absolutely nothing. And I am embarrassed to say I fed him the worst food. It was that um, moist and meaty or something. And apparently, in the scale, we're going to talk about this book too. We're going to talk about this as well today, but it's like the worst thing you can feed your dog. And I had no idea. And I loved that dog. I would never, I mean, I love all my dogs, but I would certainly have not done something to harm him. And I bought it special for him because he really liked it. So I was harming him unintentionally. So, but the thing that's interesting is when I talk to people about the different foods, like I said, are you not comfortable? Buddy he's wearing his pineapple shirt. He's not wearing a bow tie or a tie today because he was going for the casual summer kind of vibe because it's hot out today. He's not panting because he's hot. He's wanting I have the bowl of snacks right there, and that's what he wants. So that's why he's so excited. But anyway, so I have found it to be, like I said, a very emotional thing for people about how they feed their dogs. People have a lot of different beliefs about, well, this is the food I've always used. This is what my parents fed. This is what the vet recommends. This is what the breeder gave him. This is what he likes, whatever. So my point kind of today, we're not going to talk about the the specifics of different kinds of food. And I am no expert. What I am is a pet parent that has gone down that rabbit hole of learning about food because of dietary, situations with my dogs. The one was diabetic. Luna has cancer. Um, and I want the dogs to be obviously as healthy and happy as possible. So that's how we went down this whole kind of food rabbit hole. And what really started it, I would cook some on and off for the dogs and whatever, and I would, just sometimes. But when my little dog ET, when he got diabetes, the vet recommended a prescription dog food. So of course we did it. We bought it for him. That's what he ate. We were very careful to do exactly what we were told, and it was fine. But the year before he passed, he started to not do well. And I had taken him to the vet. We had all these tests run. They checked all this stuff, this, that, and the other. And when he didn't eat, he couldn't have his insulin shot. So like it was really a big deal if ET wouldn't eat. It wasn't like, oh, he just skipped a meal because it messed up, me being able to give him his insulin and everything like that. So I had taken him to the vet. They ran all these tests, and the vet was just kind of like, well, he's kind of going to start to eat or he's not. And that's kind of it. He's old. He'd been diabetic for, I think, about 4 years. So then I called a friend of mine when I got home, and she's like, yeah, that's not how we do it. And she's like, that dog food, the prescription dog food that you're feeding, is not a good dog food. It was expensive and it was vet recommended. And I thought I was doing right, and it was not a good food. So we immediately switched up what we were feeding, but we transitioned into it because my friend was very nice about not overwhelming me. Because if you really do go down into like a lot of the feeding rabbit holes, it can be overwhelming, and then you're just like, I can't handle this. It's like you go from feeding a commercial dog food to talking to people that are straight up feeding raw, crazy raw. Like, I mean, some people, they feed like some serious raw. Um, it's a big jump. So, what my friend was so good about was she gave us a suggestion of a food that I could do the protein, and then it was a dehydrated type of food, and that was kind of a topper. It was kind of like super greens for dogs. It had all kinds of good stuff in it, plus the protein. And our dog, he lived another year, a good year too. He had a good quality of life. And I really think it was from the change in his food. So I found my way into this because of a situation. But I've noticed a lot of people, if nothing goes wrong, they don't want to change things, which I understand because they're like, oh, my dog's doing fine. So my hope is that people at least keep an open mind, sort of like we talked about the crate training last time. And I had a couple people respond and say, you know, I've never really been fond of crates, but I see your point of view, and it just kind of gave them a different perspective. So what I'm hoping that people will do with the food conversation is just be open minded. Okay, so you don't have to, you know, go totally full out change everything, whatever. But I would hope people could start to be a little bit open minded as to the different kinds of food. What I know, a lot of like dog food is presented to be for dogs, obviously, and the companies have convinced people that it's good stuff and it's for the best interest of the dogs, and some of it is and some of it isn't. So I'm just hoping people become a little bit more open minded. Obviously, there's plenty of people that are providing their dogs with, you know, a very good diet. Um, but for those that are feeding just a commercial, basically, I would say a lot of people are feeding like a dry kibble. To open your mind a little bit about options, and you don't have to, like I said, jump off the deep end and just start, you know, going and feeding them a side of a cow or something. And obviously I'm kidding, but um, you just could start small. And this was something I wanted to talk to people about. Now, I had given some people some samples of the stuff that I called like the super greens for the dogs. And I gave it to, I think, two people. And both of them, the very first day, they're like, my dog didn't like it. I'm not going to feed it here. Here, take the bag back you gave me. And I'm like, but you only tried it once. And they're like, my dog didn't like it. So my point is, if you have a kid and you fed your kid um, donuts and pizza and chicken nuggets its entire life, and suddenly you like put some broccoli on its plate, they're going to be like, what is this? I don't want this. But if your child has been raised to sample a lot of different foods, they're going to be much more interested in trying things. So you have to, if your dog has had like the same food every day for its entire life, it's not going to immediately think this other stuff is food. Now, Buddy didn't used to eat stuff like this. So this is why I'm showing you. This is him with watermelon. These guys, now Radar, our puppy, has basically, he's grown up on our food. Ever since we got him, he has eaten this way. Um, Buddy had to learn, but I'm telling you, he now loves things. He loves the watermelon. He loves blueberries. They get so excited for their food. And I belong to this one Facebook group, and it's a certain breed of dog. I'm not going to say which one it is. But I joined it because of my foster dog who's sitting next to me, who's probably going to be a foster fail at the rate we're going. But anyway, when I got this dog, he would not eat anything I tried to give him, because the shelter usually gives us food with the foster. So I gave that, wouldn't eat it. Went and got some like wet food, wouldn't eat it, because even though it's not how we feed our dogs, I didn't think I would have the foster for long. So I try not to like change their diet, and then when they get adopted, it usually changes, because a lot of people, like I said, they don't feed how we feed. But this, our foster dog, has gone from not eating to loving food. He's learned to eat things like watermelon and blueberries. He eats sardines. He eats strawberries. I mean, obviously, I don't use the end of the strawberry, the greens, but he likes a little piece of strawberry. When you feed avocado, you don't feed, obviously, the pit and the skin. Those are just common sense things. But the dogs learn to like stuff. And I think that's the big thing that's important is don't assume that your dog just doesn't like it. Try it. Try different things. Try a little bit at a time. Maybe try a blueberry. In the very beginning, I had to cut the blueberries in half, and they tasted it, and then they were like, "Oh, these are good." And now they all love blueberries. Because I guess I'm hoping people will just be open to that. So then that brings up this book that I am holding here. So this is the Forever Dog Life. This is a beautiful book. I mean, it has beautiful pictures. It has incredible information in it, and it's eye-opening. Okay, so I know not everybody's going to run out and change their dog's diet and start, you know, go from one end of the spectrum to the other with food. But I'm hoping people might go, you know what? I don't want to eat the same thing every day. So maybe my dog doesn't want to either. And wow, you know what? If processed stuff isn't good for me, then how am I sitting on? I'm sitting on his foot, I think. Then if processed stuff isn't good for me, how is it good for them? And I start to read the labels. Like we have to read the labels on our food, and you start to learn things like, that bread that you thought was good that you ate every day since you were a kid, not that good for you. I've learned to make sourdough bread. Sourdough bread is better for you. And you can make small changes, like adding green leafy vegetables to your dog's diet, even dry kibble, makes a huge difference. There's a lot of small things that can make a difference. And that leads me to something else, which Buddy is very excited about. If you look um, let's see, I guess you could find it on his Facebook page. You could, I don't know, I'll put the link on his YouTube channel information, but we are starting a new company, and Buddy's section of it is Buddy's Blends, and it relates to this. It relates to food, and it's kind of a way, like that saying goes, meet people where they're at. And I'm just really excited about it for so many reasons. And I've really been struggling with watching. I mean, to be honest, a lot of the rescue dogs. I find a lot of them they have stress issues, they have anxiety issues, they have a lot of stomach upset issues because when they're at the shelter, they're very stressed. They don't get the best food. They get whatever gets donated. And I just kept thinking there has to be a way to help. And the other thing that I found is a lot of my foster dogs, when the people would say to me, well, what do you feed them? And I would tell them, and they'd be like, we're not feeding that. We feed dog food. And I'm like, okay, I mean, it's your dog now. You can feed it how you want, but you asked me how I fed, and this is what it's eating. So this company, my sister and I are doing it. And it also, now this is going to sound really weird, it also has a portion of the company that relates to chickens, which is my sister's, her forte. So um, it is something we're really excited about. And if you go to, like I said, I'll put the link in his information on here, and you can sign up for an email thing. It's not going to be one of these like crazy email lists where you're going to get sent all these like weird offers or things. What it is just to keep you up to date on what we're doing and when it actually launches and what it exactly is, what Buddy's Blends is. The overall name of the company is Feather and Fur Naturals. So it's all natural stuff. It's easy. I really think it's going to have an impact because, like I said, the shelter was just eye opening. Like these dogs, they're struggling, and I'm like, there has to be something to help them. That a lot of, like I said, these people are not going to dramatically change their dog's diet. And there's a lot of people believe, you know what, my dog was eating, dry kibble when I was a kid, and it lived till it was, 18. But the thing is, it's different now because the processing is different and the chemicals are different. And I mean, there's so much that's different. So even though we haven't actually touched on specifics on dog food and what to feed and what not to feed and all that, like I said, Buddy just wanted to talk about the idea of maybe just be open-minded. And if you are feeding a certain thing all the time, over and over, consider changing it up a little bit. Consider, there's a list, and I forget the woman's name. She has a list she puts out every year. I think it costs $12 to buy the list. If anybody wants it, comment, and I'll or message me, and we'll get it to you. But she puts together a very, very like in-depth list of the dog foods, the recommended dog foods, because there's a lot to learn about how to read the labels. A lot of what the front of the bag says and what is in the bag are not the same thing. There's a lot of things that the companies can get away with. Like, they can say certain things are in it and it might only be like this much. And then there's a lot of it's not the quality, some of it, that you think. And just because a food is expensive doesn't mean it's a good food. So you don't go just by price. You don't go, well, this one is the most expensive one. Like I said, I'll be happy to send you the link for this woman's list. Like I said, I think it's $12. I need to get it. I look on some other places, and like I've said before, we work with a nutritionist, and I also have a friend, which is the one that helped me on this path to begin with, who is incredibly knowledgeable, and she has helped me immensely with the food. So, between these things, I've learned a lot. And like I said, I do love this book, and the recipes are awesome. And I mean, it's a good book to get, even if you just want to make a couple of the things and try it. There's some really fun recipes, and like I said, it opens your eyes to what the dogs can eat. There's also a recipe, if you look up Dr. Judy Morgan's pup loaf. I don't always follow it exactly. I kind of sometimes use some stuff that I have in the house, but I will tell you, my dogs go crazy for it. They love it. So I actually make, a lot of times when I'll make it like in little like meatball sizes, and I use it either like as a snack. I'll like maybe break some pieces up and use it as like a treat or a snack, or I just put it on their food because it's got oysters and mussels and butternut squash and eggs and sardines and like all this stuff which the dogs love. Another thing, which we'll talk about another day, not today, is if you research a little bit, chicken and rice has been a thing that people think is always good for dogs. It's not. It's not the thing that we all think it was. It's sort of, I don't know how it actually started, but I've been told, Luna she can't even have chicken because chicken is inflammatory for her. So, and then we had a test done on what she's sensitive to, and she has sensitivities to chicken. So she can't even have chicken eggs. So she eats quail eggs. But yeah, but if you check it out, I mean, that is Judy Morgan's pup loaf is really, really spectacular. So anyway, that is our episode for today. And like I said, we're not talking about the specifics. We're just talking about the idea of maybe try out some new things. Maybe start getting your dog used to trying things. Like these guys, like I said, they wouldn't eat watermelon before, and now they love it. And the amount of water, like when it's hot, like now, it's like it's super hydrating for them. So that's the other thing about dry kibble. There's a lot of issues with hydration. It's so dry. So the dogs need to be hydrated because probably, I'm sure you're well aware of, how damaging dehydration can be for people and for dogs. So anyway, Buddy would love to know what you think. He'd like to know what you feed and why you feed it. Like, was there a specific reason you chose that food? And have you tried other things? I'd just be really curious, Buddy. Buddy wants to know, and he also wants to know if your dog likes watermelon because he really likes watermelon. So does Radar, and like I said, Dexter's down here. He loves it, and so does Luna, who's right over here. So anyway, thank you for watching us. We hope that you will comment. Buddy's very excited wants to stick his little furry face in the watermelon bowl. So anyway, he hopes that you'll comment, and hope you see us on the next episode. What are we going to talk about then? He said he'll let me know because he has to think about it. All right, see ya. Buddy says bye-bye, and Radar.